Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. I've got my
I can see
earphones
your
in.
face. I can see your face.
Yeah.
Try pressing some buttons.
What buttons?
I'm taking the mickey.
You nutter.
It's these live stuff, isn't it? Hey, do you want to hear something funny?
Go on then.
Right. So, I'm doing one of these chats on Wednesday with a lady. She's an autistic vlogger and poet, and somebody's put a post up saying that this person is having what's her name? Sophie Lavender. Sophie Lavender, autistic vloggers, having a conversation with a neurotypical male this week, a neurotypical adult. I thought, he's in for a shock.
Do they know nothing?
I'm going to wear my Winnie the Pooh suit.
I'm going to watch
How you
now.
been doing? All right? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Is it busy?
Yeah, very.
So, listen, anyone tuning into this will know that you and we can yak on for hours, right?
Absolutely.
And that's always one of the great pleasures. So do you want to tell everyone what you do? Because I've kind of told people, but I forget stuff.
Okay. So I'm the Managing Director of Fortis Therapy and Training. And we provide therapeutic services for all ages. So our youngest client currently is 4 years old. And we work all the way through with couples and families as well. So we work in schools, businesses, organisations, services, and then so we do the kind of therapeutic side of it, which can be anything from art therapy and drama therapy, cognitive behavioural therapy, humanistic, whatever. And we do a lot of training around mental health and well-being, attachment, and understanding young people who self-harm, all sorts of subjects that are really important. And then we also do work around wellbeing strategy and helping schools and businesses to actually think about their staff and how to kind of formulate wellbeing. And we do coaching and mediation, all sorts of things, anything really to do with people that we can get in there and help. So we do a lot of work with local authorities and complex families as well.
Right. So some really important work. And I know we've never actually worked together, have we? But we've kind of, I was talking to Pete. Do you know Peter Ludlow in Lincoln?
I think so.
Yeah, he's a clinical psychologist. And we were talking about the private sector and the fact that I think I'm the world's biggest fan of the NHS, but I do think the private sector functions in a very different way, doesn't it? Because we're all very good at ringing each other up and saying, look, I've got this person and I think it might be one for you, Alexis or Peter or Andrew. And I think, and things do happen very, very quickly with us, don't they? You know, you can have a conversation about a case on the Monday and the phone call to the family will be happening on the Tuesday or to the school that they go to. And I know you've put a few in my direction that we've had some good successes with. And hopefully I've done the same for you. But it's how have you been coping with? How have you found that the work you do has been impacted by? This is the big question everyone asks, right? By that thing that's been going on.
Well, it's massively been impacted in a positive way, actually. I think. I think you're right, just with what you were saying there about kind of private sector and supporting each other, and we've had conversations and sharing ideas with other services and businesses, and in those very early days, I was kind of thinking, oh God, what's this going to mean? How are we going to do this? Because for me, it wasn't about shutting down; it was about keeping service open and being able to support people through whatever medium we've got. And we're very lucky to have lots of different mediums. So within about 48 hours, we've moved everything online. So we were doing all our sessions using things, like Zoom and Teams and WhatsApp video. We were writing policies about how to safeguard and how to do this work effectively and all these kinds of things. So, all of that has meant that actually it's given us another way of working. So if we're in another lockdown, we can go straight back into that. And we've now seen that clients are asking for a blend of services online, but also services face to face. So that's quite interesting, because for the therapists who work at Fortis to move everything online and work in a different way was really challenging, because we just wanted to make sure we did it in the best way we possibly could, very ethically and effectively. There's no point in doing something if it's not going to make a difference to people. And you know, that kind of camaraderie and learning really brought us all together as well, about, right, I've tried this, what about this, what about that? So COVID has really given us an awful lot of different ways of working, and we've been doing webinars, we've been doing reflective practice groups online, we've been doing training, we've been doing, you know, I did a whole reflective practice over the last 3 weeks with different key stages in a school, and so that's given us that flexibility. I think it's also meant that in schools we've been able to continue to provide a service where maybe you know, there was a gap, so we've been able to kind of do the mental health side of things for schools, and to make sure that we're checking in with families and working with parents more as well as the children and that kind of thing. So it's been an interesting learning period, and I'm ready for a holiday.
I know exactly what you mean. It's been funny here because people listening who've listened to these sort of conversations before will know this, but it literally happened overnight that everything had, like you said, you were online in 4 days.
48 hours it took, yeah.
48 hours, sorry, I misheard you. I mean, I was in Dublin on the Sunday night, and I was getting phone calls to say, you've got to be out of Dublin by Monday night because the army's coming in on Tuesday. You know, and you're kind of, this is nuts. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, the army didn't come in, and it turned out to be one of those kind of rumours that are flying around and things like that. And then the Tuesday, it just literally, my diary shut down. So every telephone call was bam, 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 cancel, cancel. I actually postponed. I think most things are starting to happen again. But you really did have to start thinking fast. But I thought to myself, how old-fashioned, now, retrospectively, how old-fashioned I've been. I'd make an appointment to meet somebody, and I'd say, I'll meet you halfway between here and Bristol in the welcome, in the little chef or something. And you're like, how stupid am I? Do you know what I mean? We've always had this technology. And so I'm hoping when we go back, we're going to have this blend of, you know, like you said, we can do some of our work face-to-face, and some of it does work better face-to-face, and some people do need that. And then some of it we can just bang on Zoom, you know. I mean, I'm a vice chair of governors at 2 schools in Lincoln, and we've got a situation there where some of the other, you know, the head teacher governors drive to Grimsby for meetings from South Lincoln. You know, and they've lost the whole day for an hour's meeting. You know, and it's just crazy. Having said that, I'm still quite happy to drive out to Grimsby and have a coffee in a vegan cafe with my own.
I'm sure it's my round.
It probably is. Yeah, it probably is. Where are you now? You're in Grimsby, Louth?
Yeah, and Scunthorpe and Hull.
Wow.
So we've got Fortis. What was that?
I said, you know how to live. You know how to live.
Scunthorpe, completely. Yeah. So, it's the salubrious part of the country. So we've got the 4 offices there, and then we're doing lots of things. Like you, I was driving ridiculous amount of hours before this. And the amount of meetings I've had on Zoom and Teams, and just being able to set up pieces of work that would have taken me days of travelling. I'd have lost hours just by doing that. So having the buildings and the spaces is really important, but actually being able to have more of a flexible way of working, I think is a big new offer for us.
Right, which I lost you then. You went on a spinning wheel. You're on another spinning wheel now, so maybe you can hear me. But it's actually quite it was a really good shot, because it actually caught, you know when you pause the telly? Yeah. And I really like it, you pause the telly on a facial expression. Yours was this. That's what I paused on. Yeah, that's nice, yeah. Yes. But yeah, it is. It's going to make a huge difference. But I'm worried also. I mean, I use offices in the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce, and I've been speaking to people here, and they've gone, we don't need these offices. We can do all this stuff at home. We can do all this stuff. So it's going to have an impact. But the other thing is, and this is the kind of philosopher in me, you know, which is, you know, very well is not the most skilled philosopher. But I drive around. I haven't been in a traffic jam for like months, you know, and I drive around and there's nobody out there. And I'm asking myself this question, right? How many pointless things have we been doing? How much, like you said, you know, spending days in a car, going places and stuff like that. How many pointless jobs are there out there where actually, because I don't know, I can go in my cupboard, I've got a loaf of bread, and I've got a tin of tuna for my sandwiches and a pint of milk in the fridge, and everything's working and everything's functioning. What were all these people doing? There's a good question, isn't it?
I know. Do you know, I was thinking the same thing. I was going into Grimsby the other day to do a meeting, and I drove straight in, and, you know, there were a few people walking about, and I just thought, this feels like people have actually taken the foot off the gas, you know, like we've actually been able to stop. And a lot of the things we hear from a lot of things we hear from clients is they just want to stop the world sometimes and get off. And although that's created its own difficulties, obviously, it has also meant that I think we've all had time to think about what's important, and do we need to be running at full pelt like maybe we have been doing, and fitting in as much as possible, and, you know, like you say, driving miles and getting to meetings, and maybe going to the shops 3 or 4 times a week rather than just once a week, you know, all these things that we've been doing. Actually, it's made us reevaluate that, hasn't it?
Well, I've been if I'm talking over you, no, I wasn't good, because you've got stalled again. But I've been looking at certain things. I mean, my job falls into I mean, you've got a lot of people who work with you, whereas for me, it's just me. Although I've got my kids on a wage at the moment. The interesting stuff is, my roles fall into 3 kind of categories. There's the training, which I'm most well known for, but I probably do less training than anything. But that's the thing everyone knows me for. There's the on-site observations and things like that. And what the heck was the other thing that I do? And conferences and things like, you know, they've all changed. So the training's interesting, because like one of my main venues is in Harlow in Essex, which sounds like a long way away, but for me it's only about a 2-hour drive to Harlow. And, you know, we've been doing it a long time, and I don't know what you've found, but I found training is kind of, going in training, so going into a school and doing a twilight or a day on an inset, that's remained as popular as it always was. But the training of, I've hired a room in the Hilton Hotel somewhere, come along, have a curly sandwich and a biscuit, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's all. That died a few years ago for me. That's loads. I don't know what. I think it was around about the time of the banking crisis, and I think people worked out that they could get you in to do a twilight for, say, 350 quid and get all their staff trained, or they could send 2 people on a day course that might not be appropriate to them. Yeah. And so that all changed. So, but a few of the places have carried it on. Bishop Grosseteste University have carried it on, and Harlow and quite a few others. But Harlow's a really interesting one, because Harlow, they used to, what would happen is they go, Andrew, we've only got 5 booked on for Wednesday. You know, can you reduce your fees a little bit? Or, you know, and you know it's a good client. And you say, yeah, of course I will. But now what Harlow are doing is they're saying, okay, you can attend on the day. Andrew will be here if you want to sit and have lunch with him, and we'll have a conversation, and, you know, that's great. Or if you don't want to do that, you can come from, you know, we can, so they're running them online as well. Yeah. So we're getting that double trouble, which is really great. And I'm hoping, because, you know, you probably get the same. I get like emails from Mumbai. What are you going to charge to come over to Mumbai or something like that? You say it's just not doable. It's just not doable. I'm saying that. Nothing. Come over, you know, I'm in Harlow next Thursday. Get up nice and early, or record these things. So I think we're learning. I don't dismiss the fact that people are very, very ill and suffering a lot, but we're learning.
Yeah, we are learning, and I think that's the bit where we've really don't have a choice. I think that, as we talked before, didn't we, about that kind of, can you hear me okay? I think you're stalling. Kind of that entrepreneurial spirit and trying to find ways to make things work in a different way. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I think you're right, and I think, am I talking over you? God,
can you hear me, Andrew?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, so we talked about that entrepreneurial spirit, trying to find new ways of doing things and having to kind of think, right, how am I going to get this message across that is important and has been important all the way through our careers? And no, we're just having to do it differently. I do a lot of professional speaking, and all of those obviously went. But what's gradually come back in is doing things on webinars or having reflective groups or doing things in a different way. And it is different. I mean, I think, being able to deliver something and be recorded and for that to be put out means that, it does the message gets out there. What I miss is being in amongst the audience and being able to ask questions and have discussions and people be able to ask questions in real time. That bit I kind of can't wait to be able to get back to that. Because sometimes if you can't see the audience, you're not always sure that what you've said has landed or that they haven't had the opportunity to query it further. So I'm finding that people are following up more after those kinds of things with emails, or, we're getting messages about, can I just talk to you about this bit, or things like that, so that it's extending the conversation past being in the room. But I think it just gives you a lot more flexibility. And like you say, it's an international offer because, you've had to get on a flight before, and that isn't something that financially is feasible. And is it something you want to do as well? But if you can do it on a video link, I did a WebEx before lockdown, and there was people all over the world on it, and I was presenting, and they were asking questions through the the speaker on the table, and it was fascinating just hearing different cultures and different ideas and different thoughts about what I was talking about. And that bit, I thought that's really rich, because it's that different kind of cultural stuff that comes out.
Yeah, I've not actually done anything quite so international yet since this, but as far as people coming on courses, I know that's going to happen, and I know that's going to happen because, I have in the past some relatively significant interests overseas, but it's something that I really want to encourage. And actually, I developed, because I use MailChimp, which is an email system, and don't sign up to my MailChimp. You'll get bothered. Twice a week I'm out there getting everything. I'm like an explosion in a kind of email factory. I must tell everybody this, blah, and everybody gets it. So just
I get them. I look forward to them.
Do you look forward? They're all right. They're kind of all right. Yeah, I enjoy them. But you've set me off on something else now. I was going to say, so like my TED talk, my TEDx. So we're both TED speakers. So if you're out there thinking, gosh, these people are really intelligent people I'm listening to, that's because you're in the presence of two fantastic TEDx speakers. But people go, Guy, you got loads of views on your TEDx. I have worked that thing. I've been like, have you seen my TEDx yet? Have you watched this yet? It's the 363rd day anniversary of my TEDx. Have you watched this thing? So that's what you can expect if you get an email from me. And it's the same as all the emails that I send out, and I'm doing this stuff. But just recently, I've collected what I call an international database. And it's, don't get excited. There's 97 people on it.
It's all right to start.
97, yeah. How many you got on yours?
I don't know. Quite a lot.
More than 97. It's like insulting people to my 13 followers on Twitter. But I've been using it. I've been sending it out. I've been going, maybe the people in the UAE would like to come to Harlow. They'll be disappointed, won't they? It's got a good Toby Carvery. It's got a really good Toby Carvery.
Which isn't open at the minute.
No, it's not open at the minute. Last time I went in the Toby Carvery, actually my credit card got flashed. So is that what they call it, flashed?
I don't know. Is it when they query it?
what happened was,
Oh, when you get I know what you mean.
You put it in a cash point to draw some cash out, don't you? And somebody's put a device in there. And then I started getting loads of phone calls going, please send us your passwords and all that kind of stuff. And but they didn't get away with it. They won't pull one over Whitehouse. I'm from the West Midlands. There's nothing you can teach me about that. So what's Grimsby like this morning then? Are you in Grimsby now?
No, I'm in my home office today.
In the home office?
In my own home office, yes. That was hurriedly set up. Actually, I quite like now. I get it during the day, and then my oldest child, my teenage son, gets it in the evening. He gets to sit in here watching telly.
Are your children frightened of you?
Are my children frightened of what? Of me?
Of you? Yeah.
I hope not. But I don't think they can pull the wool, and I think that they don't like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, because the lovely thing about these online conversations is you can only see us from like the waist up, yeah. So I'm in the most ridiculous pair of nasty flared jeans, yeah. That's the one thing, and then but the other thing is I'm in the office, yeah, in Lincoln with 3 of my kids with me, and I've actually I've come down on them with the wrath of Dad to say you are not to disturb my meeting. And like the smallest one, she's 7. She's so naughty. She just laughs. She's like, yeah. But they're being pretty cool. They're being pretty cool. So that's all right. But that's the other thing, isn't it? It's about. I made some online videos, some training videos, and I did them in my 2 sons, teenage boys share a bedroom. You know what that looks like when two teenage boys?
Yeah, you need a JCB.
It's horrible. It's horrible. You can't get in. There's no kind of, and you can't. You're climbing over. And we did these absolutely beautiful clinical videos in this hellhole of a council dump, and it was like we could just put white screen behind and all the rest of it. And you're there in misery, and you're looking down. There's mouldy food in bowls and stuff like that.
Oh no! Horrible, you see, you don't have to tell people that that's what you're surrounded by, Andrew. You could just
I like it, and because I know it, but I don't like it living like it, but I like telling people. I like getting the man behind the curtain from The Wizard of Oz and saying, look.
I had a period of time at the beginning when I was doing lots of Zoom meetings, which still am. And I was also doing like webinars for other people that were being recorded. And I was on the radio a few times. And I've got signs all over my door saying, shh, I'm on the radio. Shh, I'm on a Zoom. Shh, don't come in.
You should have like one of those lights, like from Motown, on air.
Yeah, like when it's flashing, don't come in.
Yeah, on air. Yeah, like, you do a lot of radio, don't you?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I like radio. I'm trying to crack radio. I kind of see myself as the new Dr. Hillary. No, really.
I'm sure there'll be good morning. I'm sure they've come knocking.
Yeah. Hello, Dr. Whitehouse here. I think it would be quite good. I'd be better than him. He's a bit patronising, isn't he? I think. I always remember him being quite attractive when he was younger. Yeah, he's had a lot of affairs and stuff, though, hasn't he? He puts it about a bit, really, doesn't he? But it's kind of like. But no, I can see. No, I think I could upcycle him. That's what they call it, isn't it?
Well, you never know, Andrew. Put yourself out there and see what happens.
I used to do a lot of radio in the 80s, but that was different stuff. But I've also been. We got a local radio here, which I won't name them, but they know who they are. And I've been on them a few times. If I say it's not Links FM and it's not Radio Lincolnshire,
yeah,
and they're kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but they don't do PC, and so that got a bit embarrassing. So I went on there a couple of times, but yeah, I can see myself on the radio. I could hear myself on the radio. I think that'd be good fun. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to start putting the feelers out. I'm going to send these tapes out for these things that we do. Have a listen to this, yeah?
Get a job off the back of it.
Yeah, who's that? Hugh Edwards, is it, on Radio 4? You don't need him. You don't need him. Get me. I'll do it for you. What do you reckon?
I love that your aspirations that you're going in high.
Radio 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, Radio 4. Yeah. I mean, I get really angry with Radio 4. You know, I kind of, do you get this? So I did this with Brexit. Yeah, I did this with coronavirus. Anytime, who's that fellow in politics that nobody likes?
Boris Johnson.
Yeah, but we discussed him, and we both agreed he's got great hair.
Yeah.
He's like, but no, it's Michael Gove, isn't it? Michael Gove, he was the other one.
Yeah.
And I shout. I'm one of these. I've got to an age now, so I was 54 last week. So now I shout at the telly and I shout at the radio and I do all this stuff. And I particularly shout at Radio 4. Radio 4 makes me so angry. And my kids are like, "Why do you listen to this, Dad?"
Well, I think that is a good point. In that, actually, I think it is. There's been an awful lot of stuff over the last few months that, you know, if you watch it, it's all even the kind of language they use and everything. It's all to get you kind of reactionary, isn't it? And I think, yeah, hey,
it's not good for you.
No, I've just gone to switch things off, and I just switched that off. I don't want to hear that. I've done that far more the last few months than I've ever done. Because I just think it's all games, and, you know, a lot of it is what the media want you to know. And if you're listening to I love the radio. I think it's a great medium. I think it's similar to kind of podcasts, isn't it? That you can listen to it while you're doing lots of things and you don't have to stop. And it's interesting to hear the conversations, but I think you've got to pick and choose what you listen to.
Oh, good grief! Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's interesting because I've stopped listening to news radio, and there's a fellow I know, I'll name check you out there, Richard Serling. He's a soul DJ, and he's done so many Mixcloud downloads. I think he's got bored. He's just got, and I'm just listening to this guy all day and night, and there is nothing better than the Wellbeing than listening to some fantastic soul music from morning and just going smooth with a capital smooth. That's how I like it. So now I'm for real. Do you know what? So I've got this idea. Current events, right?
Yeah.
This conversation wasn't supposed to go this way.
I'm already feeling an element of dread, Andrew. Carry on.
Smooth current events interspersed with Luther Vandross and Marvin Gaye.
Oh God! Now then, don't even get me started on Marvin Gaye.
No.
Have you listened to those lyrics? Have you listened to the lyrics?
He's naughty, isn't he? Yeah, he's a bit naughty.
There's something not quite right.
There's the fade out, isn't it, in one of those songs? You know about that? Not many people know about that.
Yeah.
You only just hear it as it's fading out. How did he get away with that?
I don't know. I don't know. He got away with a lot of things, to be fair. But some of those songs, I listened to the lyrics actually over lockdown. I was like, yeah, that's not happening again.
So, meanwhile, back at the go-go, right, three things that we should do for our mental health. Because we're in the middle of this absolute nightmare.
Well, I think you take control of what you can.
Yeah.
And recognise what you are trying to get control of and you actually can't, because that can cause us an awful lot of pain and suffering. And actually, there's no positive solution to that. So look at what we can control, and and that is often about ourselves, and try and kind of let go of some of the other stuff, because as we've been talking about, with radio and media and even family decisions and friendship decisions, things that people have done around going out and all that kind of stuff, we can't control any of that. All you can do is control yourself. So I think recognising that, I think our self-care, we've had an awful lot of time, even if we've been busy, to think about things in a different way. So recognising what are you doing to look after yourself, and how do you feel about looking after yourself? Does that feel quite selfish, or does it feel like you should look after others before you look after yourself? And self-care isn't just about getting your roots done. It's about all those things that give us a bit of time for headspace and thought and reflection as well. So I think they're important. And thirdly, I think it's about I think it's thinking about what do you want to keep from lockdown? What did you like about it? And writing that down so that you don't lose it, because in 6 weeks' time or in 2 months' time, when schools are kind of back in some form and life starts to kind of crank up again, it'll be easy to forget some of the things you wanted to do differently. So, you know, making a note of, actually, this is what I've learned, and reminding yourself of that, because it's very easy, even though lots of people have said, I'm going to do things differently from now on, it's difficult to keep that motivation going. Sorry?
We forget quickly. We forget really quickly, don't we?
We do.
It's interesting you say that. I'll tell you what, then, with I had Rebecca Duffus on the other day. She's the autism specialist for the London Borough of Sutton, and she's still on. We had trouble with Instagram, so it's on my Facebook. If you ever want to check it out, it's really good. It's interesting because we're drawn to people who have similar opinions to ourselves, and Rebecca and I were so much on the same page, and it's fascinating again. Because we've known each other, I don't know, a couple of years now, but we've always got on really well. And again, we're so much on the same page with what you're saying. It's interesting. I've got a board that I use. Maisie, here we go. Maisie, well, give me one of those circle boards. That's the one. That's the one. And I use this. This is not an advert or anything. It's just what you've brought up. And it's that what you were just saying about things I can do things about, things I can't do anything about, and you move the stickers around. But I added a third one, and the third one was things that are going to go away. Yeah. So you know at Christmas, right? The most, it's like what was it? I read somewhere Christmas is like Easter, only worse. At Christmas, you know, you get your in-laws maybe come in. And for weeks, you're going out of your mind, going, oh, my God, the in-laws are coming. Do you know what I mean? And Granny's going to be horrible, and Granddad's going to be... I'm not talking about my granny, Granddad. Just in general, you know, Granddad's going to sit at the table eating with his mouth open and all this kind of stuff. And the cousins are coming, and you're in a real hyper state, yeah? And did you have any family over at Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah, have they gone now?
yeah, they've gone.
Yeah, and that's the point, isn't it? They're gonna go. They're gonna go, and at that point, and so I did this thing. It's kind of things that will just go away. You know, I mean, I know you'll have been in the same situation. I've worked in 3 schools where there were secondary schools where there've been suicides, and I think two were exam stress. And one was a child that was being bullied. And where I grew up, it was hell on earth. I mean, you just would, you couldn't walk down the street, you know, and someone would have your trainers or something like that, and you just couldn't do anything, you know. But I always knew I was going to get out. I'm like, as soon as the time comes, I'm the hell out of here. And then you've got exams, and my own kids, you know, 2 of my kids, exam stress, and particularly my oldest daughter, who was really, really dedicated, really hard worker. And I kept saying, look, you fail these exams, it doesn't matter. We'll just get you, we'll send you to college, or we'll look at a new plan, or we'll stuff like this, you know. And it's like the in-laws coming over at Christmas, isn't it? It's like, it's going to go away, and we have to train people to recognise when things just go away, you know.
But I think, I think as well, people, we often talk about, you know, you can feel quite strongly about something, or feel like it's like the end of the earth, the end of the world if something doesn't happen. And so we can end up pushing decisions, or we put a lot of emotional weight on some of the things that we talk to children about, or that we might be dealing with. And actually, if you it does pass, things pass. I often think this will pass, you know, this situation, in 2 months' time I won't even be thinking about it, because it won't even be part of my life anymore. And when we're looking at things from a mental health point of view, it's also around, you know, watch and wait. You know, we don't have to always act on something, and I had to really learn that, because growing up I would, especially in my teenage years, I'd want to push things. If I felt something was the right thing, or we should do it in a certain way, I would push and push and push. And I actually had to learn to kind of go, do you know what? Let's just see where it lands, and then we'll deal with it. And actually, there's a real relief in being able to just let some things play out, and pass us by as well. We don't have to invest ourselves in everything.
Picking your battles is another one, isn't it?
Yeah,
Picking your battles. And it's funny you should say that, because watch and wait. I mean, as you know, I'm diagnosed ADHD. In fact, no, I'm diagnosed severe ADHD. You've got this like lines, and I go right across the top. I'm literally, it's, you know, my diagnosis is the only one I don't hit. Yeah, and nobody hits everything on this, supposed. It's I'm always on time for stuff. Apparently, I'm supposed to be late for everything, but I'm always on time. But anyway, it's interesting because watch and wait is absolutely so difficult in ADHD. We just don't do watch and wait.
No.
You know, and anyone who says you can't do that, because I don't call it watch and wait. I always go slowly, slowly, catchy monkey. Yeah. My dad used to say it. I have no idea what it means, but but he's go slowly, slowly, son. You know, and I teach kids stop and think time. You know, stop and think, stop and think. And I always say, if I can do it, anyone can do it. You know, and I've been to the point where I stop and think, and I wait and see, and I watch and wait, and I slowly, more than I should these days, because I've trained myself, but I can't tell the difference.
Well, but don't you think that's given you a whole skill set? I mean, I think what we do with, you know, when we're working with children and young people, we're trying to help them to have strategies to manage how they're feeling. You know, so they might have a thought about something or be reacting to something immediately in the moment, and then it's action stations for everyone else around them. You know, they're escalating, and it's very de-skilling for the parents or the adults around that child or young person. And in some of the work we're doing, it's like, okay, so they have these strategies that they know can help, but it's slowing down that process of response so that there's time to inject them into that scenario so that you have more control in it. And it takes practice and it takes time, because actually most of the time what we want to do is just react, because it's how we're feeling in the moment. And I think adults who have learned to do that, you actually create a bit more thinking time. And if we can give that to children and young people, to recognise you don't actually have to respond right now. I often do, you know, it's a bit like, this is a really simple example, but it's like when you get an email and you think, I'm so angry about that. You know, I just want to go back and, like, you know, keyboard warrior and say exactly what I think about that. And what I actually do is I mark it as unread. And I just leave it and I do everything else I've got to do. And then when I've calmed down and all those hormone levels have come down, I go back to it and then I think about it. It's the same thing in other responses. You don't have to react. You can make a choice. Even if you do have a diagnosis, it's learning to be able to do that. And you might get it right 50% of the time, but that's better than it was before. So, you know, that's a good result.
That's interesting you say that, because let's let you into the world of Whitehouse for a few moments. And I always check my messages during my constitutional of the morning. So I'll be sitting there, my phone, you know, waiting for the shower to warm up.
I can't now get that out of my head. But anyway, go on.
It's a fabulous thing. and I had an email. I was off to the autism show in London, or the SEN show or something like that, to deliver a talk. And I put it on Facebook. And Facebook it's a bit like, it's not quite as much of a lion's den as Twitter, but it is quite, you know. And I got this message in capital letters come through. You people make me sick. Making money off our condition. And it's spelled our condition, A-R-E, our condition. And I'm reading this thing and I thought, you have no idea how passionate I am that you get a good deal. I don't know who you are, but you have no idea. I've spent my adult working life trying to get a change of dialogue, to try and get equality, and actually not only that, the shows as big as that, you do them for nothing, you don't get paid. And it was costing me like at least 200 quid in fuel. It was costing me money just to get out there and say, and I'm there and I'm like that, you know, and I'm right you, and I'm tapping away on the phone, and then you just stop and you go, hold up, just block him. Yeah. You know, and it's like that, but it's a skill. It's a heck of a skill to learn. And so what I tend to do is I type the message and delete it.
Yeah, definitely. I do that.
You do that? Yeah. In a more dignified
you got to, well, I'm not sure about that, but I do. I like. It's like being able to have you say,
yeah,
not actually having the impact of having you say. So, you know, you can, for me, it's like, there's a lot of things I would like to be able to say, but I know it won't do any good. It won't back up the message of what Fortis is about or what's important to me. It actually undermines it. It undermines everything we try and teach people. So I think sometimes you've just got to make that balanced decision about the bigger picture. And when you're in it, you're not able to see that. It's that helicopter view, isn't it, of stepping back and going, hang on a minute, if I do A, this will happen. If I do B, this will happen. What's the line of least resistance? And how can I actually, because something else for me is that there's often things that happen where I wouldn't tolerate it in my everyday life. I wouldn't tolerate being spoken to in a particular way, or messages I might get, or emails, or whatever. And so professionally, people sometimes are upset and have got their own context and, you know, all of that stuff, as I do in my personal life. So it's having to kind of really be balanced. We don't get it right all the time because we're not robots, but it is kind of almost trying to practice what you preach, isn't it? It's what you teach other people. You've got to be able to practice it yourself.
I think so. And it's interesting. Well, I'll tell you what I found out that was interesting was you're going to be quite surprised, because when I was a young man, I was always a bit of an oddball. Can you believe that?
I can't, Andrew.
A little bit eccentric. Actually, to be fair, I never understood why people thought I was eccentric. And I still don't. People say, do you like my shirt, by the way?
I do. I'm trying to see what it is. Is it? What is it?
They're cassettes. Look.
I thought it was glasses from a distance.
No, they're cassettes. Look. But anyway, people say to me, you dress eccentrically. And I think, well, I only go to the same shops as you. Mm. And, you know, I bought this in the House of Fraser in Scunthorpe. Is it House of Fraser?
I know which one you mean. It's not House of Fraser, but I know which one you mean, yeah.
Right. So, but anyway, I only go to the same shops as you. And actually, towards later adult life, I found out that I was ADHD. So that explained loads and loads and loads of stuff. But when I got into the business that we're in, what was interesting was, I thought, oh my gosh, I won't fit in. I won't fit in because these people, you know, who supply therapeutic interventions and stuff like that, you know, they're not like me. They're a little bit. They're those sorts of people. Actually, it's fascinating because we have these conversations, and we have, you know, these interactions with each other as therapists, but as humans as well. And it turns out we're all as nuts as each other. But your professional persona is different, isn't it? Your professional, you know, I get in. I mean, you could write the book for me. You could write the script for me. I get in from wherever I've been, you know, and I'm no buggers emptied the dishwasher.
Oh, it's similar to mine, Andrew.
You know, do you know what someone did in my dishwasher yesterday? Do you want to know what they did in my dishwasher? This is not going to be... You know those little Italian percolators? You make your coffee. I've been decaf now. Oh, this says me. So hello.
Hi, it's me.
Right, now you can go away. Oh, all right then. But it's the benefits. Somebody got my Italian percolator, yeah, and put it in whole. By the way, I was just saying I've been caffeine free for about a year and a half now, but I have a decaf percolated coffee, and they put it in whole. Well, A, it doesn't go in a dishwasher, it ruins it, but B, they haven't even unscrewed it and emptied the coffee out of it. They just put this thing in the dishwasher. And that's the sort of thing, like, and I'm going, you know, oh, goodness only knows what I call it.
I always just go, is it me? Is it me that thinks this is unreasonable? Is it just me who thinks this is unreasonable? Everyone's kind of going scattering around the house, like, God.
You know, do I leave the toilet like that for you? Have I ever done that? I could be dying, you know, and I would still make sure it's in a good state for the next visitor.
These are the conversations as parents that become beyond boring.
Yeah, they do. But yet, you're then on the phone and you've got a family in crisis, haven't you? And you're going, yes, and I'm trying to help you. But you know what's happened, I think, is, and just certainly during lockdown, you're on the phone to these families now, And I had one right at the beginning of lockdown. This lady, she was in a real kind of state about all sorts of things. And it was so funny because, I mean, this is not part of the script. This is not the normal script. I was going, honestly, you have got nothing to worry about. I said,
that is normal.
This is normal, and this is okay. And, you know, and actually, my kids are much worse than yours. And it's having those conversations that are really, I think, so valuable. So valuable.
I think it's being authentic as well. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I think when you've got children, you want to be able to go to a professional and them to have all the answers and to know exactly what you should and shouldn't do. And you might have ideas and you can give advice and guidance and experience and theoretical knowledge and all of that stuff. But actually, there's also something about being a parent and having lived experience of being a parent as well. And if you can manage that and bring that into your experience as well, it means that parents know that you understand what they mean, because you're living. I've got 3 children. So I'm living it, you know, every day. I'm doing the same thing as everyone else, working from home, trying to kind of run a business, all that stuff.
Little one sitting on your lap while you're on a call.
Yeah. I had my German Shepherd the other day, who actually got himself tied up in my headset. I was on a Zoom call.
That's not one of your children, is it?
No. This is my 4th one. And he literally got himself tied up in all my cables under the table, and I'm in the middle of presenting. I'm trying to untangle him at the same time. You just think, oh, for God's sake.
Just a quick question, by the way. Did you notice how fabulous Esme's hair is?
Yeah.
She's got the world's best hair.
She has. Lovely colour.
It's funny. We were out on our bikes. I shouldn't be telling you this. But we went out on bikes every night. And I got, you say you got 3 kids. Yeah. Lightweight. I got 4.
I know. That's why I'm counting the dog. I'm up in the game, Andrew.
Yeah, I know you're up in the game. But I was with my oldest daughter, who's 17 tomorrow, actually. And we went out on a bike ride, and she fell off her bike in a field, on a path, yeah? And I can't remember what I said to her, but it was just like, it wasn't, are you okay? I was like, get up, we're in a hurry.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine, you'll be all right. And, you know, and it's kind of, it's just normal life, isn't it? Did you used to watch The Osbournes?
I don't. Oh yeah. Years ago.
Well,
yeah.
Years ago, yeah. But they were just a normal family, really, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, with a lot more drug use than most families. But
yeah, there's none of that going on in my house.
You know, yeah. But it was like, it just, you know, Arthur walking about like tripping over dog bowls and stuff like that, and you know, and it's like, yeah, that's how you live. That's how you do it.
But don't you think that's interesting? Because what the general public really want to see is, in terms of social media and reporting, are these kind of ideal lives, and we don't think about that nitty-gritty. No, but we don't think about the nitty-gritty of being these other people being parents, or you know, having to clean up after the dog, or whatever it might be. There isn't that reality to it. I mean, I know we've got reality shows, but even then it's still not.
Well, we've had this conversation, you and I, but we should share it with the rest of the world, because I think we've got about 10 people listening now. There'll be 200 by tomorrow on this. they go really well, these things. I think that's the nice thing, they can catch up later, can't they?
Yeah,
it's brilliant. I remember when we had our first child, yeah, and you do your best, you know, and all the rest of it, and you have your sort of ways of feeding your children, ways of keeping you home, ways of doing that. And I remember the Cosby Show on the TV. I've told you this, yeah. And it was America's Perfect Family.
Yeah.
What a lie that was.
I know, yeah.
Well, you know, turns out we were the perfect ones, you and me. You know, the way we run our kids and trip over the dog bowl and the dog gets caught up in the electrics, or you're lacking in sympathy when your daughter's fallen off her bike because you're in a hurry. You know, we're the normal ones.
But don't you think the way, because I talk to a lot of parents, and I have to, you know, manage this in my own head as well, is about being good enough. You know, you're never going to be a perfect parent. You're never going to get it right all the time. And you know, sometimes I make decisions with my own children and think, oh God, you know, and I always joke, I'll book them in for therapy when they get to 18, because, you know, then they can go and deal with our parenting somewhere else and talk to somebody about it. but we're doing the best we possibly can with what we've got at any one time. And you know, actually being good enough and just trying to do your best is actually as much as any of us can do. I think sometimes we try and be perfect, and in our own minds we can end up being quite critical of ourselves, quite negative, and questioning what we've done, and you know, that's exhausting. And
yes, it is.
And you can often look back on circumstances, I think, and think, oh God, I wish I'd done it that way. But that's hindsight. When you've got an awful lot more experience and you're looking at it from a different perspective, you're not in that situation with your child or your children or whatever. And actually, if you've got a good balance of trying to parent them and also trying to have fun with them and take joy from the time you spend with them, that's probably good enough, you know, for them to become people who can manage in the world as well as they can.
Absolutely, I completely agree. If you look at attachment disorder, I know you work a bit with attachment disorder, and in fact, it's one of the ones that we cross over, really, isn't it? But the similarities between attachment disorder, autism, and ADHD are quite. But attachment disorder, I think, isn't it? The criteria for good attachment is adequate or above adequate parenting. We only have to be adequate. You know, adequate's good. Adequate is good, you know, and that's Tracy O'Connor said that's good to hear. You've got a fan out there. That's all right, isn't it? She's a regular tuner inner, is Tracy, and she's always got good things to say. But yeah, it's adequate or more than adequate. I was on eBay last night. There was a pair of. Do you find eBay stressful? Yeah. I hate it. Bidding like that, and then if you get the thing you want, do you snipe it the last minute? 10 seconds, boom, got you.
That's the game, surely.
Yeah, but then I always feel guilty about the other person. But last night I had this like stressful hour because I was bidding on a pair of Snoopy Vans for Esme, and I was like, you know, and you've got that total fear. If I don't get these Vans, then I'm a bad parent. A parent guilt, do you know what I mean? It's like. There are £10 second-hand trainers.
I know, and it's not measured by that. Someone's just commented there about kids are more savvy than you think, and I think
that's Katie. She's lovely, Katie. I know all these people.
And Katie's right. I think, you know, we don't. For me, there's a really good. I was watching a bit of video, and it was Claudia Winkleman and Tanya Byron, who are quite good friends. And Tanya's a psychologist. And they were talking about, that, you know, kind of curling parents, which Claudia is a self-confessed. So basically what that means is that she's constantly one step ahead of her children, trying to make sure everything's okay. So she's like, you know, in that Olympic sport where they're curling and they're getting the ice as smooth as possible. So smoothing the ice as much as possible so that this child can kind of go along to where it needs to be without having to think about too much. So she was giving an example of her son. Who, you know, she knew where he was because she's got an app on her phone. She knew he hadn't got any money, so she put some money in his bank account. She knew he hadn't got a coat, so she went and picked him up. You know, there's all this kind of behaviour, and I thought, for me, those are all learning opportunities. So, you know, my son has a job, and he had an afternoon nap the other day, was on split shift, so he was supposed to be back in the pub to work, and he woke up as he was supposed to be in the pub, and I could have driven him there. That's where you better get your skates on. So he kind of ran out of the village to go to work, and he was about 7 to 10 minutes late, mortified that he was late. Won't be late again because he's learned. Whereas if I'd got in the car and taken him, what's he learned? And I think that's the other bit, that sometimes by not stepping in, they will figure it out because they have to. And that's a skill that they then take forward in another circumstance where they think, oh, I've been here before, I know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't learn otherwise, can you? And maybe that's why they're not emptying the bloody dishwasher.
Because got to pay him, Andrew.
My kids get more money out of me. You wouldn't, honestly. I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh yeah, you made me laugh. Get your skates on. My mother used to tell me that.
Yeah. Like, crack on.
Get your skates on. It's so funny. But yeah, it is absolutely true. But I mean, yeah, there does come a point where, you know, I think I'm guilty of that, maybe curling parenting. They'll try to make their life as easy as I possibly can. But really, it's sometimes you do want to make, they don't need to go through unnecessary pain.
Oh no.
And but also at the same time, are you doing them any favors? I was at you know, I'll talk to anybody, so even you.
Honoured.
I was at this. What was the name of that medieval village, Maisie? Weststow. You ever been to Weststow?
No.
So it's a rebuilt medieval village, and they have reenactments there. And they have reenactments there, and they have these guys there. They do Viking stuff and all the rest of it, and guys and ladies, obviously, people, right? And what we know is, so you'll say, oh, they stay in these rebuilt huts overnight. They do the whole thing. They sit around drinking mead, and then Joe Public comes at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they show you how to make an arrowhead or put your name in runes or stuff.
I'll still be asleep.
Yeah, exactly. But I always ask them for a bit of a laugh. I said, so what did you do last night? Oh, we had a deer. We had a deer on a spit roast, yeah? I said, where'd you get a deer from? Oh, it's on the side of the road. There's always a deer on the side of the road when these people come. Right? And so you know and I know that they're so into their reenactment that they've gone and hunted this deer. They've done that, yeah? Okay, that's what I think anyway. And the point is that we have no... One of the guys was saying to me once, I was chatting to him, and he said, as humans, we've made ourselves so vulnerable. We have no skills. We have no skills, and it's kind of giving your children those skills is hugely important. My father-in-law has taught my daughter how to gut a fish. Now, she's not keen on that.
It's not the best thing, no.
But if she saw you, she'd say, I know how to gut a fish.
Yeah.
She'd tell you that.
Yeah.
She'd tell you that, and it's kind of, it's an interesting thing. I mean,
I think it's also about, like those skills for life, but it's also about making mistakes, that sometimes we find it really difficult to watch our children literally and metaphorically fall down, and get it wrong or feel a bit foolish. And it is horrible. Those feelings are, feeling shame and feeling embarrassed are really, one of the worst. They're the worst emotions, I think. But by the same token, I think it is about kind of, we've all had to fall and get it wrong. Then you think, right, well, I won't do it that way next time. That's actually all you can take from it is, I will do that differently next time. So learning from those mistakes and being able to take that learning forward rather than feel like I should be ashamed of that and I can't tell anybody about it. I need to pretend that never happened. Actually, what can you take forward from it? And it's life skills equivalent to gutting a fish, like actually filleting a fish, where you can actually think, I've got that and I can take it forward and it'll always be with me. But we can't get it right all the time. None of us do.
We've got Emma here, Northwest Autism in the Sense. She's saying taking risks to boost resilience, and I think there's huge amount of that. Emma's one of the good guys, by the way. She's on our team. Yeah, she's fab. And but she's on our team. By the way, Emma and I, we're doing 2 events in one in Gateshead and one in Liverpool about building kids back up after this lockdown thing. But so that should be a good one. Good parenting allows children to take measured risks. I think it does. I think it does. It's interesting because I was on the phone the other day, and I won't go into too much detail, but this person said to me, I don't worry about what will happen if I do something. I worry about what will happen if I don't. And I thought, oh gosh, now there's some wise words for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got 27 seconds left. Right, thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
I've made an MP3 of this, so we'll send it over to you. You can put it on all your social media if you're not too ashamed.
Not at all.
It's been so lovely to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. So we'll see you next time. You take care.
Yeah, you take care. See you soon. Thanks, everybody.